Have you ever felt a wave of nostalgia when you've moved to a new country or maybe a new city? What I'm asking is, do you ever feel homesick in the new place? If your answer is yes, don't worry. It's perfectly normal. Moving to a new country or a new city can be life-changing and full of adventure. But for many people who move, it can also include a big dose of homesickness. Well, first, let me be honest with you about my own experience. I moved to Indonesia 42 years ago, and I don't think I felt really homesick at any time during all those years. Oh yeah, there were times when I felt frustrated about adjusting to the differences I found here in Indonesia. But I don't think I was ever actually homesick. So when I hear people say they're homesick, I have trouble relating to what they're feeling. Maybe I never got homesick because I always felt like a misfit in the US. I always felt like I didn't really belong there. And I didn't even actually know what it would feel like to really belong in a place, to feel that a particular place was really my home. Yes, I was a member of a family. I wasn't an orphan. But to be truthful, I never felt like I was a real part of the family. That's a very complicated story for some other time. And I had plenty of friends. I'm still in touch with some of them. I was born and raised in Chicago. I loved Chicago then and called it my home. But I didn't feel like I belonged there, even though I loved it. After graduation from university, I moved to Los Angeles. I loved it there as well, and I called it home for several years. I look back with fondness on my years in Los Angeles, but I never felt like I belonged there either. To this day, I love both those cities, and I love to visit friends there for a short while. But as I said, I never felt like I belonged in either place. Does this sound rather strange to you? I never had the deep emotional connection where I felt part of a place or a group until one day in Jakarta. Yes, I remember very clearly the first time I recognized that I was in a place that actually felt like home. I had just returned from a visit with family and friends in both Chicago and Los Angeles, and I'd arrived at Soekarno-Hatta Airport in Jakarta and was in a taxi riding to my rented home in Tibet Barat. A feeling overwhelmed me after I said to myself how happy I was to be home. I shocked myself with that thought. Was Jakarta really my home? Well, yes. Evidently, Indonesia had become my real home. And if you're living overseas or in a city away from family and friends, or if you're planning to do that, you might find that, like me, your real home maybe isn't where you grew up. Your true home might be in another country or another city altogether. It might even be in Indonesia. Hi, I'm Kate. I make videos about the joy of living in Indonesia. And this is my YouTube channel, KateGypsy. I encourage people to create an adventurous lifestyle for themselves, if that's what they want. I did that back in 1982 when I took a 3-month job here when I was just 38. And I'm still here living happily 42 years later. So no, as I look back, I can see that I wasn't homesick, even though I did miss a few things. Many of you have seen the video of my front yard and complimented me on it. And maybe you think, well, you've made a beautiful place. And so, of course, you don't feel homesick. But you know, I didn't always have such a beautiful front yard like this. For many years in both Jakarta and here in Yogyakarta, I worked really hard, had many ups and downs, steps forward and then steps backward. I was definitely outside my comfort zone for a while, but even so, I almost always felt that I could handle everything. Yeah, I was fumbling around trying to figure out so many different things and adapting to life here in Indonesia. It wasn't always easy, but I met amazing people and met some real duds as well. And I learned a lot about myself and my abilities, how I could meet the challenges I found just about every single time and every single day. You know, I've heard about people who sometimes feel homesick in their new place because they miss family and friends. And I've also heard about people who are afraid to even make a move to a new country or a new city because they're sure they won't be happy in a new place without their friends and family. Well, don't be surprised if you have trouble dealing with opposing feelings. Excitement to be having a great adventure, but also deeply missing your family, friends, familiar foods, or even just small everyday comforts that you once took for granted. Some people decide as soon as they feel homesick that, moving to a new place was the wrong decision. And then they try to figure out how quickly they can return to more familiar surroundings. But that drastic solution isn't really the necessary answer. Let's look at just a few ways to deal with homesickness. Number 1, first, accept that feeling homesick is normal. That's the first step. Recognize that it's completely natural and doesn't mean you made the wrong decision or that you aren't capable of adapting. Sometimes just accepting that homesickness is a natural part of your journey can help reduce its intensity. Number 2, stay connected with loved ones, but don't overdo it. A phone call to a friend or relative can take the edge off those unpleasant feelings. I love using Skype to have video calls with friends in the US. Yes, even after 42 years living here in Indonesia, I've kept in contact with my favorite friends in the US. And making regular calls can help you, but be careful to find a balance. Constantly dwelling on home can sometimes make your feelings even worse. And don't worry about missing out on something your friends are doing. You're doing something much more exciting. Number 3, make new friends. One of the best ways to overcome homesickness is by building a new social circle. Spend time with your new friends. Invite them over to your home for a meal, or meet up at your favorite restaurant or museum. But remember that making true friends isn't instantaneous. Nurture your new relationships. Number 4, give yourself time. Adjusting to a new home doesn't happen overnight. It's normal to feel homesick at times, but eventually your new surroundings will become more familiar, and that new place might eventually be the place that makes you feel like you belong there. Be patient with yourself and trust that with time, things will get easier. And remember, your home is what you make of it wherever you happen to be, wherever you are. I've had quite a few expat newbies who wanted a consultation with me. So I've set up a way for consultations about making expat life a reality. Just click the link in the description below this video to book an appointment with me. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Till next time.